Hey guys, how's it going? So I had a thought the other day, what books would I recommend to somebody who was looking to start on their entrepreneurship journey and they didn't have any idea what they wanted to do, they just knew that they wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I thought of a few things and I'm going to share them with you today. There are at least 6 books I can recommend that would help you along your journey just to help you think through what kind of entrepreneur you want to be and what things you can actually leverage to start a business, and then having the right mindset, building a team, and then eventually being successful. So let's go. If you haven't met me before, hi, my name is Ora Pampa, and I like to share inspiring content that I hope will inspire you to be better and make your life just a little bit better by listening to me. All right, let's get into it. So the first book I'd recommend is The Unfair Advantage by Ash Ali and Hassan Kuba. The subtitle in this book is How You Already Have What It Takes to Succeed. This book asks you to look inwards and see what it is that you already have that means that you have something unique that you can offer the world. It might be your background, maybe a particular understanding of culture or attention to detail. It might be your life experiences. Maybe you've had to travel as a family, or maybe it might be learning multiple languages or speaking even just another language. It could also be a thing of maybe having a very intense desire to learn a particular skill and showing your journey on the way. It could be a lot of things. I know one of my unfair advantages, I could say, is the fact that I speak a few languages and I've gotten to travel with my family quite a bit, and that set me up to not be afraid of traveling to start with, to enjoy meeting new people, and also to be able to get along quite well when I travel to different places because I can speak different languages. So it sort of helps quite a bit. I've also thought to myself, but how do I monetize this? Because for me, it's all well and good having these things, but I also wanted to see a way of monetizing the skills and the unfair advantage that I had. And the way I eventually found to do this was actually through voiceovers. So actually providing a voice to give life to content. I'm really grateful that I found this. But you see, all of this was a combination of the different life experiences that I've had. Also my communication skills, also to do with my experience just dealing with people from different countries and different cultures, has meant that even when dealing with clients, they're usually very happy because I seem to speak their language quite well. And I don't mean language in the sense of the natural language. I mean understanding what they're saying and then interpreting it and being able to deliver the voiceover in the way that they want. So that's how I've been able to apply the concept of the unfair advantage. Tell me, how about you? What do you feel might be your unfair advantages? What are the things that make you different? What are the things that make you unique? And for you, you might think, I'm not unique. There are many people like me. But it might be that you might be called to a particular audience, right? So within your circle of friends and influence, you might feel like you're one of many, but actually, depending on who you're targeting or who you're trying to reach, you, compared to them, might be at a different stage. So let's say, for example, you learned how to, create YouTube videos, or you have a particular skill that you can teach people. Now, let's say you're in a community or in a school where there are other people who know those skills. You may not feel like you're as valuable there, but actually, if you take those skills and then take it to a place where they don't have as many of those skills, then you start to realize that actually you do have an unfair advantage. So bear that in mind. Have a think yourself. What are the things that make you different? Whether it's your background, your skills and abilities, your experiences, your outlook on life, your words of wisdom. Have a think. Everybody has something that gives them an unfair advantage. The next book I'd recommend after reading The Unfair Advantage is Will It Fly by Pat Flynn. Now, let's say you've figured out a few things that make you different, a few things that give you an unfair advantage, and you've also come up with a few ideas for businesses. The next stage would be to find out, actually, can these businesses work? Will they succeed? The book I'd recommend for that, like I said, is Will It Fly by Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn is the author and the host of the Smart Passive Income podcast, and there he gives strategies about developing passive income so that you can work hard today, but know that you're going to have a lot more time to just relax and spend time with family or doing the things you want to do. So if you're interested, I definitely say you should check that out. I'll put a link to his podcast in the description of this video. So let's move on anyway. So that book, what it does is that it tells you about thinking through innovative ideas and then testing them out, things that you can do to test them out to make sure that people would actually be interested enough in them and would actually want to commit to spending their money towards it. So if you're looking for a book that will give you strategies on how to test out your idea, make sure it flies and make sure you plan well enough for it such that it can be a success, or you give it the greatest chance of success, I definitely recommend Will It Fly by Pat Flynn. All right, let's move on to the next book. As I mentioned before, Pat Flynn is about building passive income streams. Now, when we think of passive income, the person that comes to mind for me actually is a guy called Tim Ferriss. He was the author of the book called The 4-Hour Workweek, and it was one of those books that changed my life because it made me realize, or it solidified some thinking I had about the kind of life I wanted to live. I knew growing up, before I figured out the term digital nomad, I knew I wanted to have a sort of job or business that I could run from anywhere as long as I had access to a computer and internet connection. It was only later on that I started to figure out that there was a term called digital nomad, which is people who work from different locations and they basically do things online and deal with their clients or their company or bosses online. But then they're able to work from a different location, a location that they're happy to be in, and they can also go traveling and exploring as a result. That was the kind of lifestyle I was thinking I wanted to get into when I was younger. But anyway, the point of this book is that it talks about running businesses and setting them up in such a way that over time, you don't have to spend so much time on them during the week. You can actually then have more time to do the things you want to do, whether it's spending time with family or traveling or pursuing a hobby or other interests. Something Tim Ferriss talks about there is being able to leverage different services to streamline your work and to make sure that you're focusing on the things that only you can do. So for example, you can get a personal assistant to help you work on different areas that don't necessarily need your direct attention, but need to be done. So it might be going on sites, many of us know them, like Fiverr, like Upwork, where you can go and find people who can work as a virtual assistant, helping you with managing a few things for your business. That way you can focus on just a few things as opposed to having to do everything by yourself. And because you can get people who are willing to work at different price ranges, it means that you can find a range that works for you and then employ them and get them doing those things. In Tim's book, he talks about escaping the 9-to-5, becoming part of the new rich or the nouveau riche, and living anywhere you want. But then you have to be smart about how you set up your business such that it gives you those things, if that is what you're aiming for. He also talks about streamlining things so that you focus on the things that are most important and the things that only you have to do. And then for other things, you get other people on board to handle those other things. He also gives strategies for hiring people online and in different places, leveraging freelancers such that you can keep your business lean, but keep it working and earn an income that way. So if you're interested in building passive streams of income and you want frameworks for actually making this a possibility, then I definitely recommend Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek. Speaking about leveraging other people in your business, another good book for thinking about this and really imbibing that thought of leveraging other people to make your business grow and to help you even achieve more than you could have achieved if it was just you, is a book called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. The premise of this book is that rather than think of how to solve a problem, you actually think of who is the best person to help me solve this problem, and then see how you can leverage them. Because when you bring other people into your vision and your capacity to achieve that vision becomes bigger. You're able to achieve way more than if it was just you working on it, particularly if you can get somebody to focus on a particular area. Having people focus on different areas rather than you doing everything means that they can become experts, or even if they get to 80% of what you were doing, it means that it frees up your time to actually do other things. The book provides many examples of people who've used this successfully and been able to expand their reach in terms of business, in terms of achieving things that they needed to achieve even in life. So definitely a book I'd recommend, Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. The next book I'll recommend is Superfans by Pat Flynn, the same Pat Flynn of Will It Fly. Before I go into details why, let me tell you about a concept brought to the world by Kevin Kelly. Now, Kevin Kelly is a writer amongst many things, and one thing he said was, as an artist or as a creator, you only need 1,000 true fans to make a decent living. Now, how does that work out? A true fan is somebody who would buy anything that you produce. So let's say you have 1,000 true fans that would drive 200 miles or 200 kilometers to come hear you speak or to produce music, spending $100 on things you produce every year. That would give you an income of $100,000. That is pretty decent. That's a decent living. The number 1,000 isn't necessarily fixed. It's just the idea behind it, letting you know that you don't necessarily need to have millions to be able to live comfortably. you could actually work with engaging 1,000 true fans. This idea is why I recommend you read the book Superfans by Pat Flynn. And basically in that book, he talks about how to cultivate a community of people who are very invested in the work you produce, who like your work, who find it valuable, and who you're able to reach out to. With those people, you can have different products that you put forward to them that will be of value to them, but also they'll be willing to pay you for. And in which case you can then earn an income that way. Building a business that relies on a community, I would say, goes with a few different rules. You're not just being mass market and it being a one-way conversation, but actually it's a back and forth conversation and a many-to-many conversations, because your community will also engage with other people in that community, and in so doing actually increase the value of that community. Growing a community of superfans is a way to ensure that your business also grows and that you're able to provide value and have that direct communication with people who value the products that you produce. Again, the name of the book is Superfans by Pat Flynn. The next book I'll recommend, which is by no means the least, is Ask by Ryan Levesque. It's a book that tells you about asking the right questions of your customers to make sure you can serve them better. When you get good at asking the right questions, you're able to derive the kind of value that your customers require and then better serve them. And if you better serve your customers, they'll be more willing to part with their money because they know you're giving them the value that they need. Again, this book is Ask by Ryan Levesque. Although I said 6 books, I actually have a 7th book that I think would make a good bonus. And that book is Soundtracks, and it was written by Jon Acuff. And that book, I really like it because it's about the mindset for success, right? Soundtracks, when you think of soundtracks, Jon Acuff talks about having the right sort of thoughts playing over and over in your mind that would help you get towards success, get you believing that you can achieve that success, but also actually getting you to take action towards the success that you're looking for. Definitely a book I would recommend. I actually have a video already talking about this book and reviewing it. You can check that on my channel. But again, this book is Soundtracks by Jon Acuff. Now, I do hear some of you who feel like I'd love to read, but I don't have time, or it doesn't quite fit into my lifestyle. Well, what I would actually recommend is that you check out Audible. Audible is a service owned by Amazon, which has many books, but in audio form, which means that you can listen to the audiobooks whilst you're doing different things, from driving to doing house chores to going on a walk. You can actually listen to these books and learn something as you go along. And if you'd actually just want to listen to the summary of the book to get the key points before you invest the time in reading or listening to the whole book, you should check out services such as Blinkist or Shortform. Those are services that take those books, condense them down into the key points, the key lessons from those books. They give good summaries of the books with key lessons you can learn from them, and then how to apply them to your life and business. I definitely recommend that if you want an easy entry into these books. All right, so that was my list of 7 books for entrepreneurs in the making. Tell me, have you listened to any of these books? Which one do you think you'll be reading first or listening to first if you haven't listened to any of them already? And which ones do you think would be the most valuable for your business? All right, hope you enjoyed that. If you like content like this, don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos on my channel. I think they'll provide you some value as well. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.